Imagine for a moment that the life you have been trying so hard to reach is not as far away as you were taught to believe. Imagine that the peace you have been chasing, the confidence you have been waiting for, the success you have been praying to become worthy of, is not hidden somewhere in the future, but is waiting to be recognized in the silent place within you where all creation begins. Not in the noise of the world, not in the approval of others, not in another method, another ritual, another secret technique, but in the simple, direct recognition of your own inner state. Most people never see this because they have been trained to distrust what is simple. They believe that if something is powerful, it must be difficult. If something is true, it must be complicated. If something can transform their life, it must demand years of struggle, endless effort, and constant pressure. So they search. They read more. They watch more. They try more. They build system after system around the very thing that was never hidden from them in the first place. And yet, the secret is not that life is withholding something from you. The secret is that you keep looking past what is already present. There is a place within you where your reality is first accepted before it is ever seen. There is a quiet center inside your consciousness where every assumption takes root, where every identity is formed, where every future begins as an inner fact before it becomes an outer experience. And the moment you understand this, you stop treating transformation as something that must be forced from the outside, and you begin to see that all true change begins with the state you are willing to occupy within. This is why the simple path is ignored. Not because it is weak, not because it is shallow, not because it is less powerful than effort. It is ignored because it gives the mind nothing to hide behind. The mind loves complexity because complexity allows delay. Complexity gives you a reason to say, I am not ready yet. I need more time. I need more knowledge. I need more healing. I need one more technique before I can finally become the person I desire to be. And in this endless preparation, the mind keeps the desired life at a safe distance. It keeps the fulfilled state in the future, where it can be admired, imagined, and postponed, but never fully lived. But the direct path does not ask you to postpone your power. It asks you to notice it now. It asks you to stop asking the outside world for permission to become what you have already accepted within. It asks you to stop treating your desired state as something you must chase, and to begin treating it as something you must inhabit. Because the world does not respond merely to what you want. It responds to what you consistently assume yourself to be. If you assume distance, life will show you distance. If you assume lack, life will echo lack. If you assume that success is far away, that peace is difficult, that confidence must be earned through suffering, then every step you take will carry the energy of separation. You may work hard. You may discipline yourself. You may force your body into action. But beneath the action, there will still be a silent confession that says, I am not there yet. And life reflects that confession. This is why conscious noticing is so powerful, because noticing is the moment you awaken from the assumption you've been living under. It is the moment you see the thought before it becomes your identity. It is the moment you see the fear before it becomes your decision. It is the moment you see the old self trying to return, and instead of fighting it, obeying it, or calling it truth, you simply recognize it as a passing movement in consciousness. You notice, and in that noticing, you are free. Not because the thought disappears instantly, not because the fear never comes back, not because the old pattern vanishes forever in one dramatic moment, but because the moment you notice it, you are no longer completely inside it. You are no longer sleeping beneath its command. You are no longer unconsciously giving your authority to a voice that was never your highest truth. This is the great shift. You move from being the thought to witnessing the thought. You move from being ruled by the emotion to recognizing the emotion. You move from living inside the old assumption to seeing that the assumption can be changed. And once you see that, everything begins to open. Most people try to change their lives by attacking the surface. They try to force new results while carrying the same inner state. They try to build success while still assuming failure. They try to create love while still assuming rejection. They try to attract peace while still identifying with chaos. They try to become disciplined while still seeing themselves as someone who cannot be trusted. And then they wonder why the outer world does not change. But the outer world is not the beginning. It is the reflection. The beginning is the state you occupy when no one is watching. The beginning is the inner conversation you return to when the room is quiet. The beginning is what you assume to be true about yourself before the evidence arrives. And until that state changes, your actions will often become nothing more than old fear wearing the clothing of ambition. This is why effort alone is not enough. Effort matters. Discipline matters. Action matters. But action taken from the wrong state becomes exhausting. It carries desperation. It carries tension. It carries the belief that you are trying to become worthy by force. And whatever is done from that state often produces more struggle, because beneath the movement, there is still a feeling of lack. But when the state changes, action changes. When you begin to live from the fulfilled state, your discipline is no longer punishment. It becomes loyalty. You are no longer forcing yourself to become someone valuable. You are acting in harmony with the value you have already accepted. You are no longer working because you feel empty. You are working because your inner world has already declared who you are. And now your outer life must become obedient to that declaration. That is real self-improvement, not self-hatred, not endless pressure, not the violent rejection of who you are. Real self-improvement is the sacred discipline of no longer betraying the person you have recognized yourself to be. If you have recognized that you are capable of focus, then you cannot continue living as a servant of distraction. If you have recognized that your future requires strength, then you cannot keep returning to habits that weaken you and call it comfort. If you have recognized that you are no longer the old version of yourself, then your actions must begin to reflect the new assumption. This is not pretending. Pretending is when you act on the surface while doubting in your heart. Embodiment is when you accept something inwardly so deeply that your behavior naturally begins to follow. There is a vast difference. When you pretend, you are still trying to convince the world. When you embody, you no longer need the world to be convinced first. You move from the inner knowing. You walk differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. Not because you are performing, but because you have entered a new state, and that state has begun to organize your life from within. Ask yourself now, What have you been assuming about yourself in silence, when no one is there to encourage you? What do you quietly believe about your future? When the evidence has not yet appeared, what do you accept as true about your worth? When a door closes, do you assume rejection, or do you assume redirection? When progress is slow, do you assume failure, or do you assume that life is still arranging itself according to the state you have chosen? These silent assumptions are not small. They are creative. They form the atmosphere you carry into every room. They shape how you interpret delay, how you respond to difficulty, how you use your energy, how you speak to yourself, and how long you remain loyal to a vision before the world confirms it. The person who assumes defeat sees every obstacle as proof. The person who assumes alignment sees every obstacle as movement. The outer event may be the same, but the state that receives it is different. And because the state is different, the future that grows from it is different. This is why the simple path is not passive. It is not sitting still while your life falls apart. It is not refusing action. It is not calling laziness spirituality. It is not using awareness as an excuse to avoid responsibility. The simple path is the removal of unnecessary inner struggle, so that action can become clear, clean, and powerful. When you no longer act from panic, your action becomes precise. When you no longer act from lack, your action becomes magnetic. When you no longer act from the old identity, your action becomes a confirmation of the new one. And this is where many people misunderstand effortless. Effortless does not mean there is no work. It means there is no inner contradiction. It means your thoughts, your emotions, your assumptions, your choices, and your actions are no longer moving in different directions. It means you are not asking for success while preparing for failure. You are not praying for peace while rehearsing chaos. You are not desiring freedom while continuing to identify with the prison. Your being becomes one statement, one direction, one inner yes. And when your inner world becomes unified, life begins to respond in a way that looks effortless to others. But you will know what really happened. You stopped contradicting yourself. You stopped feeding the old state. You stopped trying to become from a place of lack, and you began to live from the place where it was already done. This is what it means to collapse the gap. Most people believe there is a long distance between desire and fulfillment. They say, I am here, and what I want is there. Then they fill that distance with anxiety, overthinking, comparison, and time. They imagine the fulfilled life as something they must reach after enough effort, enough proof, enough signs, enough permission. But what if the gap is not real in the way you think it is? What if the gap is held together by attention? What if the more you stare at the distance, the more distance you create? To live from the end is not to deny the present. It is to stop worshiping the present as final. It is to understand that your current circumstances are not the law. They are only the echo of previous states, previous beliefs, previous assumptions that have hardened into visible form. And if they were formed by consciousness before, they can be transformed by consciousness now. So you do not wait for evidence before you change your state. You change your state, and the evidence follows. This is the order most people reverse. They say, when I see it, I will believe it. When I receive it, I will feel thankful. When I become successful, I will walk with confidence. When life gives me proof, I will finally rest. But the direct path says something different. Rest now. Assume now. Notice now. Become inwardly loyal now, because the unseen always precedes the seen. A building exists first in the imagination of the architect, before it rises into the skyline. A tree exists first as a hidden seed before it breaks through the soil. A new identity exists first as an inner acceptance before it becomes visible through habits, posture, speech, decisions, and results. You do not wait for the world to make you new. You become new within, and then you allow your life to catch up. This does not mean the doubt will never appear. It will. The old story will return. The old habit will ask to be obeyed. The old emotion will come with its familiar weight. But when it appears, you no longer need to panic. You no longer need to call it failure. You only need to notice it. Notice the fear. Notice the craving. Notice the impulse to shrink. Notice the thought that says, "This is not working." And then remember who is noticing. The one who notices is not trapped in the old state. The one who notices is already standing in a deeper place. From that place, you can choose. From that place, you can return. From that place, you can act without becoming a servant of the fear. This is spiritual discipline, not the discipline of forcing yourself to believe something while secretly expecting the opposite, but the discipline of returning to the state you have chosen again and again until it becomes natural. The discipline of guarding your inner world. The discipline of refusing to rehearse old limitations as if they were sacred truth. The discipline of no longer giving your attention to every thought that weakens your future. Because attention is creative. Where your attention goes, your identity begins to gather around it. If you give your attention to lack, lack becomes familiar. If you give your attention to fear, fear becomes convincing. If you give your attention to the old version of yourself, the old version begins to feel like destiny. But if you give your attention to the fulfilled state, if you dwell there, return there, breathe there, and make decisions from there, then that state begins to feel natural. And what feels natural to you becomes your reality. This is why you must be careful with the inner conversations you allow. Many people guard their possessions more carefully than they guard their assumptions. They protect their phones, their money, their reputation, their image. But they allow any thought to enter the temple of consciousness and declare itself law. Do not do this. Stand guard over the inner world, not with tension, not with fear, not with the anxious need to control every thought, but with quiet authority. When a thought appears that does not belong to your chosen state, notice it and release your identification from it. Do not fight it for hours. Do not build a story around it. Do not ask it to explain itself. Simply see it for what it is. A passing movement, not your destiny, not your identity, not your command. And then return to the assumption that you have chosen. Return to the feeling of completion. Return to the inner atmosphere of the person who knows that life is unfolding in their favor. Return to the quiet certainty that what you seek is not separate from you. Return to the understanding that your future is not created by panic, but by state, by belief, by attention, by aligned action, repeated until the outer world must reflect the inner truth. This is how you live the direct path. You do not need to make it dramatic. You do not need to announce it to everyone. You do not need to turn it into a performance. The deepest shifts often happen in silence. They happen when you are alone and you decide not to believe the old story again. They happen when no one is watching and you choose the higher action. They happen when you feel the pull of the old habit and quietly say, "That is not who I am anymore." That one moment may look small from the outside, but in consciousness, it is enormous. Because every time you refuse to obey the old assumption, you weaken it. Every time you act from the new state, you strengthen it. Every time you return to the fulfilled inner reality, you make it more natural. And slowly, then suddenly, the outer world begins to rearrange around the person you have become within. People may call it luck. They may call it timing. They may say you changed. But you will know the truth. You stopped living as a contradiction. You stopped asking life to give you proof before you became faithful. You stopped postponing the state you desired. You stopped treating yourself as someone waiting outside the door of your own future. You entered the state. You lived from it. You acted from it. You protected it. And life, being the mirror that it is, began to show you the evidence of what you had already accepted in silence. So begin now, not tomorrow. Not when you feel perfect, not when all doubt disappears, not when the world finally gives you a sign. Begin in this moment. Take a breath and notice the state you are in. Notice the assumptions moving beneath your thoughts. Notice whether you are living from fear or from faith, from lack or from completion, from the old identity or from the fulfilled self. And if you see that you have been living from the old state, do not condemn yourself. Condemnation only feeds the very identity you are leaving behind. Simply choose again. Enter the inner state of the person who already knows. How does that person breathe? How does that person walk? How does that person speak to themselves when no one is listening? How does that person respond to delay? How does that person handle temptation? How does that person work when the results are not yet visible? Become familiar with that state. Not as a fantasy, not as a temporary emotion, but as your new inner home. Then let your actions follow. Do the work from that place. Keep the promise from that place. Protect your focus from that place. Build your future from that place. Let your discipline be the physical expression of your inner assumption. Let your habits become the proof that you are no longer waiting to become someone else. You are living from the end. You are no longer chasing the state. You are carrying it. You are no longer begging the world to change first. You are changing the source from which your world is reflected. And as you do this, remember that the simple path will always be rejected by the restless mind. The mind will ask for something more complicated. It will say, "There must be another secret. There must be another technique. There must be something else I need before I can begin." But the truth does not become more powerful by becoming more complicated. The truth is powerful because it is direct. Notice, assume, embody, act, return. That is the path. Notice the old state. Assume the fulfilled one. Embody it until it becomes natural. Act from it with quiet discipline. Return to it whenever the world tries to pull you back into appearances. This is not weak. This is mastery. Because the one who can hold their inner state before the evidence appears is the one who understands creation. The one who can act from fulfillment before the world applauds is the one who is no longer controlled by circumstances. The one who can notice fear without becoming fear has already begun to transcend the old life. So stop ignoring what is simple. Stop making your transformation so complicated that you never have to live it. Stop waiting for another method to give you permission to become what your awareness can recognize right now. The path is here. It has always been here. Beneath the noise, beneath the striving, beneath the endless search for proof, beneath the old assumptions you mistook for truth. It is the quiet place within you that already knows. And when you live from that place, when you return to it again and again, when you let your choices, your discipline, your attention, and your identity become loyal to it, your life cannot remain the same, because the world must eventually reflect the state you refuse to abandon. And the moment you understand this, you will no longer ask whether the path is working. You will know. You will feel it in your posture. You will hear it in your inner voice. You will see it in the choices you no longer make. You will recognize it in the peace that no longer depends on proof. You will sense it in the way life begins to meet you differently, not because you forced it, but because you became it. And once you become it within, the outer world is only catching up.